Hi everyone, I'm Theresa and I want to ask you something. Have you ever seen a cat or a photo of a cat with its ear cutted? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about today. Today I'll be talking about the TNR method. That stands for Trap-Neuter-Return. If you never heard about this, you probably never dealt with a colony of street cats. I'm doing this video for the sole purpose of trying to explain why this is a necessary thing. Because I honestly get a bit sick whenever someone comments that my cat has her ear tipped, that she's lacking her ear, or oh my god, what happened to your cat's ear? Was she in a fight? No, my dear friends, she wasn't in any fight. She was never attacked or tortured. She was spayed. And since the original plan was for her to be returned to the streets, she had her ear tipped. I heard so many uneducated things about it, like it disfigures the cat, that it's a third world practice, that it hurts the cat. And that was probably the last drop necessary for my glass to overflow and what prompted me to make this video. To help you understand, the Trap-Neuter-Return method is exactly what it says. Trap a feral or street cat in an humanly way, trying to avoid causing too much stress to the animal. Then comes neuter, taking the cat to a vet clinic so they can be neutered or spayed, and if able to, have it vaccinated for diseases like rabies. The ear is tipped during this process. And finally, return. After the recovery period, return the cat to its outdoor colony. The ear tipping done during surgery is done as a way to identify the animal. This allows us to know, without having to capture it again and perform surgery again, that that animal has been fixed. Now, this is done under anesthesia from the surgery, and what it's removed, it's the tip of the cat's left ear. This does not bring any pain, nor does it compromise the life of the animal in any way. It's not removing a leg, which wouldn't compromise their life either, since there are many fully functional animals that don't have all four legs. Why is TNR a good thing? This method is meant to control and reduce feral cat colonies without being lethal. Since they can no longer reproduce, it's expected that the colony size will decline after some time. Behavior associated with mating will practically stop. I'm talking about fighting, yowling, spraying, and the cats won't roam as much as they would because they don't have the drive to find a mate. All of this allows them to have a better quality of life, having more resources, being healthier, less likely to spread diseases. This method practically ends the developing of memory and testicular tumors. There are studies that show cat colonies under the TNR method have longer lifespans, almost as long as house cats. Why return them to the street instead of a shelter for adoption? If you own or are used to cats, you'll probably know that they have very different levels of socialization. Some cats are very friendly and will approach humans, and some will hide at the slightest sight of one. Some will let you pet them, others will try to take your eye out. Street cats can be feral, and they don't really belong in a shelter. Keep in mind that many shelters around the world still euthanize animals that aren't adopted after a while, or that are labeled as unadoptable due to their behavior. Fortunately, in my country, shelters have been forbidden to euthanize an animal unless it has a terminal disease or a pain-causing disease. But what kind of life can an unadoptable animal have in a shelter, being caged until it dies? It may not make sense to some of you, but I'd rather have a cat live outside where it can roam freely than live its whole life sheltered inside a small crate, waiting to be adopted, especially if it is a cat that doesn't like humans and therefore won't be adopted. But keep in mind that this is my opinion and it comes from years of helping animals on the street, and living next to a shelter. If by chance the animal you are trapping is sociable and likes to interact with humans, it's worth trying to find an adoptee or a foster family. While it is rare, it can happen. Baby kittens are obviously good candidates for adoption too, as they can learn to be social with humans. Another very valid argument is that when you remove cats from a location where food and shelter is provided, soon another set of cats will show up and form a new colony, so the process goes back to the beginning. If a new colony isn't controlled, it can unleash hell. Consider that a female cat pregnancy lasts 2 months. That makes it possible for her to give birth to 5 litters per year. Now, let's imagine that this cat has those 5 litters and only has 5 kittens each time. In a year, that makes an increase of 25 cats in a colony. 25 may not seem significant or a big number, but believe me, it makes a really huge difference to those taking care of the colony. Now, imagine that in the next year, those 25 kittens have babies. It can mean an increase of around 600 new kittens just from those original 25 kittens. And consider cats can have over 10 kittens per litter. I'm being friendly with numbers. Also should be noted that female cats don't have menopause. They are fertile their whole life, which basically means they can give birth till their dying day. This many cats in a colony would end up in cats fighting for food, for shelter, feline diseases spreading super fast, cats dying of starvation, exposition, and so many other things I can't even keep up. And it could, probably would, be considered a health problem, and animal control would be called, no doubt about it. As I've said, I've dealt with street animals basically all my life. Living near a shelter has shown me how people think that abandoning an animal, cat, dog, wherever, in the vicinities of a shelter will be good for the animal. That said animal will be collected and cared for. This is not true at all. I remember a summer in my childhood where my street had a little over 20 dogs roaming abandoned to their luck. And guess what? A shelter that has no capacity will not come to pick them up or accept them if you knock on their door. They survived out of the goodwill of my family and the neighbors that together worked to keep them well fed. In my country, most shelters don't have government help or funding. They work purely on the help of volunteers and donations. And also in my country, most TNR procedures are paid out of the pockets of the carer, which means every time I capture a cat and take it to be neutered, I have to pay with my own money. I'm lucky enough to have great neighbors and everyone tries to chip in, but sometimes money is short and we aren't all able to help. Especially because there is always a new cat being abandoned here, and probably 70% of the times it's a female cat that's pregnant. I spend my time and money feeding them, making sure they are taken care of, because there isn't anything I hate more in this world than to know or witness a living being, especially a mammal, suffering, being hurt, dying. The sight of a newborn cat that just didn't make it outside, maybe by illness like the feline influenza or being hit by a car, it will never stop haunting you. The thought of I should have helped it sooner. But it's not my duty to save everyone, to save every life, even though I try my best. So please consider helping shelters and organizations that help street animals, especially those that practice the TNR method. You'll be helping many living beings from a life of misery. And remember, don't breed or buy while shelter animals die every single day, lacking a warm and cozy home. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.